I declare the meeting open at 5:30 p.m. I welcome councillors, management and members of the public in attendance to the City of Melbourne. Could I ask that all mobile phones be turned off for the duration of the meeting? We respectfully acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional land of the Kulin Nation.
Sit down. Next call, Rory O'Connor from Norton Rose. Mr O'Connor, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Councillor Ong. The purpose of my submission is to request Councillor Leppert to consider whether he should recuse himself from voting on this application. I'm sure that the councillor is aware of his conduct provisions in the Local Government Act. They include to act impartially in the exercise of his responsibilities in the interests of the broader community. You must avoid conflicts between your public duties as a councillor and your personal interests, and you must act honestly and avoid statements, whether oral or in writing, or actions that are likely to mislead or deceive a person. Now, in recent weeks, you have been fairly vocal in the media and have made statements against my client of such things as deplorable acts, vandalism, sheer vandalism and vandalism pure and simple. On the basis of your clear and express views in this case, I put to you, Councillor, that the fair-minded member of the public might entertain a reasonable apprehension that you are not open to persuasion on the matter, and accordingly that any decision of the committee with your vote in it would be infected. So before Council considers the motion, I'm instructed to respectfully invite you, Councillor, to consider whether you should apply to the committee to exempt yourself from voting pursuant to section 79 B subsection 2 of the Local Government Act on the basis of a perception that you have prejudged the application, have a personal interest in the matter that is in conflict with your public duty to act impartially.
Chair, may I direct a question to you on that submission?
Yes, Councillor Forster. I'll probably be seeking advice from our Manager for Governance too on this.
I'll leave that to you, Chair. My question is, I'm just not sure that this is the appropriate time or place for a question of a councillor in that respect. I understood that this was a time to be putting submissions in direct relevance to the application and not the conduct of a councillor.
It's open to the councillor to...
Sorry, the question was for the Chair.
Oh, excuse me, Councillor.
In terms of these presentations on a particular agenda item, we don't control what is said and what questions are put to us. Some of them can be questions to us, some can be statements that actually put us in a bad light, some will be directly relevant to addressing a particular concern of the item, the agenda item. So I personally can't say, but I'll defer to the Manager for Governance whether this is allowable.
You have to make a ruling. No, he doesn't.
Lord Mayor, councillors, Councillor Leppert will be well aware of the restrictions in the Local Government Act. We're not, and I make this point, we're not dealing with a point of administrative law tonight. The livelihood of an individual applicant is not at stake. Next week we'll be dealing with a planning application, which is administrative law, and therefore issues around apprehension of bias will come into play. I don't believe that on a planning scheme amendment that in fact the intent of the legislation is to apply, and in fact all the reading that we have, and the councillors are well aware of what I've given them in the past, covers off on planning applications or other matters where the individual suffers or potentially suffers a loss, not on policy or planning amendments.
Thank you for that, Mr. Williamson.